So friends, welcome What If Naruto Doesn't Trust Kuroka movie. Miserable, that's what she felt when she realized she has failed them. Her mother and little sister, she thought, it was the right thing to do. No, it is the right thing to do. In order to protect her little sister, she would do anything that can ensure her safety, yet, her plans backfired. Her master has suspected for the worst scenario and came up with a plan that she hadn't knew of. He called an assassin to track every movement of her little sister, and when she was gone, that's when the assassin made its move and killed her sister. After knowing that, she was left devastated. She hates it, she hated devils. It was so wrong for her to accept that men offered. She shouldn't be a devil. She knew how dirty devils truly is, yet she accepted his offered. She knew if she accepted his offer she will regret it, but not like this. If she could rewind back time, she should just be Nekashu and do anything in her power as a Nekashu to protect her little sister, Shirin. Maybe, just maybe, if she'd done that, all of this thing wouldn't happen. Who needs power when you can't even protect someone precious to you? So you're Kuroka, huh? A tone of friendly and kind stated rather than question as he stand a couple meters away from her. He is a handsome man with the appearance of a young man ranging around 20 to 25 years old. The man has length, shoulder-length crimson red hair and blue-green eyes. He was wearing an armor ranging from his shoulder down to his chest and higher knees with golden outline. Under the armor is a battle attire with black belt around his waist and combat boots. Yower, startled Kuroka at seeing this man, Surzich Lucifer, the leader of all Mau. It is a pleasure to meet you Nya, she stated in a low tone that shows she wasn't excited to see this man. The pleasure is all mine, but sadly on this kind of circumstances, he admitted with a sad tone, which confuses her. Really, I came here to help you. Help? She quirked her eyebrow in surprise and anger at hearing those words, especially when it's coming from a devil. Why help now if you can help me before all this thing occurs? She growled, glaring at him with lots of hatred. If you're going to help me, then, release these seals around me. Let me escape. Releasing a sigh, Surzich Lucifer, or known as the Yondai Mau, stepped forward as he took out a crystal orb out of his sleeve, handing it to her. I can't do that, but I'll give you this instead, and I am sorry for your loss, but know this as a Mau, no, as a brother. I understand your reason of killing him, and I would do the same in order to ensure my sibling's safety. Kuroka continued to glare, but didn't say anything. Instead she was staring at the crystal orb that had been given by Surzich. Aren't you curious about it? The orb is specially made, and it can take you anywhere beyond this world. It is a wonderful item, and you can use it to start a new life, and hopefully you can find someone you love, informed Surzich as his green eyes stare at the frowning Kuroka. I don't want it, she said, staring at the dirt below her. What's the point of starting things again, when the people I deem precious are dead? The Yondai Mau smile as below his feet the familiar crest of the Grimoire for teleportation appears. He was illuminated by the light before teleported away with his parting words that forever struck her head. Maybe you can't find the answer now, but I am sure once you found it, you'll never let it go. After all, love is what made us great. Love? She thought, as she ponders over the word Surzich had said. She knows the meaning of that word, but because of love she also lost her precious people. In the end she was debating with herself whether to keep the item to herself or throw it away. Releasing a sigh, she relented and kept the crystal orb. As soon as she done that, the guards appears a couple minutes later and dragged her away as she ready to face her execution, and on that day too the last Nekashu is no more. The blonde-haired shinobi walked slowly through the forest, his exhaustion finally making its presence known. He leaned up against a tree, breathing heavily, as he could feel his knees started giving up. His fight, the battle with the Akatsuki leader Pain, had been the hardest of his life, and it showed him how weak he still is even with Senjutsu under his arsenal. Uzumaki Naruto refused to give in, his relentless determination keep him up on his feet. He needs to get back to the village as quickly as possible. He need to know their condition, his friends, his teammates and the villagers. They're like a family to him. It doesn't matter if they treated him poorly over the past because he knew their reason and he couldn't really blame. Beside, the past is the past. Right now he lives in the present, so he forgive them. The blonde made it a few more feet before his legs finally gave out. Damn it, whispered Naruto in defeat as he didn't have the strength to holding him up any longer. He could see his surrounding became blurry and blurry. In the end, he succumbed to the darkness, though his eyes managed to catch a blurry figure standing a couple meters away from him. Good job, Naruto. Kakashi-sensei. Wondered Naruto, unable to see things clearly, though his eyes managed to catch on the silver colored of his sensei hair. Don't worry, it'll carry you back to the village, said Kakashi, giving his student a one-eye smiled. The one-eye Jonin then positioned his student on his back before walking back to Konoha at a slow pace. You can rest now. Thank you, sensei, nodded Naruto in gratitude, leaning his head down to Kakashi's shoulder. Even though he was exhausted, he couldn't sleep. Instead he chose to ponders over everything Nagato had said and passed down to him as a student of Jiraiya. Kakashi smiled over his shoulder at the young Uzumaki, marveling at the growth his student had undergone. Once a talentless prankster that everyone saw as a monster, he was now a hero. He had struggled in destroying one of Pain's bodies, while Naruto had destroyed all six, all of them at the same time. There was no doubt in Kakashi's mind that Naruto had surpassed him, and one day even his father. He admitted he is excited to see Naruto surpassing Minato-sensei one day. A sea of people waited outside the ruins of Konoha, ready to greet their said hero, who has saved them from the Akatsuki leader attack, Pain, and with the Rinne Tensei technique, resurrecting everyone who had perished and healing their wounds, there was nothing that will stop them to do so. A massive cry rose from the throat of the assembled people as they caught sight of Kakashi piggyback Naruto. Each and every one of them shouted their congratulations and thanks, cheering for the young Uzumaki that snapped him out of his thought as his blue cerulean eyes stare at the people with wide eyes. What's this? Asked Naruto, surprise and those of bewilderment which made Kakashi chuckle. After all, Naruto never received this kind of thing from the people within the village, as the only thing they gave him in the past was the look of anxiety, disappointment and hatred. But not today. It was not miracle because Naruto is a student who would do the impossible possible, and he has truly earned their trust, as every last of them was giving Naruto a proud, happy, grateful and love expression which the blonde truly didn't receive when young. They've been waiting for your return, explained Kakashi to his student, who still wore the puzzled look on his face. Letting Naruto off his back, Kakashi turned to Naruto. You did very well, Naruto, and I'm proud of you, because in the end we always believe in you, praised Kakashi, ruffling the blonde's hair. Thank you, sensei, Naruto smiled, proud at the fact Kakashi praised him not just once, but twice. Walking slowly, approaching the sea of mass people, Naruto could feel his heartbeats faster than it should have. This kind of feeling, he still wasn't used of it. The closer he got, the more nervous he became, but at the same time he was happy at the fact everyone is safe and sound. Several children broke away from the crowd, all running towards Naruto. Each one of them was eager to ask him about his exploits. Naruto found himself surrounded, and he was bounced back and forth as the kids bombarded him with $1 million questions and attempted to get close. Geez, you guys, calm down. Protested the blonde, his broken and beaten body unable to handle the strain. The children though clung to him stubbornly, with two latching on the ends of his sleeves. However, his attention was quickly stolen when he saw one of his teammates walked up to him. Hey, Sakura-cha. You idiot. Sakura growled, stepping forward and bringing her fist forward to connect with the of his head, knocking him towards the ground and eliciting a small yelp from him. Before he fell downward, Sakura caught him in a tight hug, her lips spread forming a smile. Thank you, she whispered as she held him. She was worried for Naruto's safety. No matter how strong he is, she has the right to get worried over a team member of Team 7. Needless to say, she was grateful that Naruto is alive and well. "Mou, Sakura-chan, do you really have to hit me?" whined the blonde, slightly pouting as Sakura released him from the hug. Sakura, instead of replying, just glared at the blonde, which made him gulp in fear before laughing sheepishly. Iruka, who was watching from afar, couldn't help but smile. He truly have grown up, to not just able to master the Senjutsu, he also managed to defeat Pain. It's still a long way to go, but he believed Naruto is truly going to be the greatest Hokage that Konoha ever produce. Uzumaki Naruto, his student, has many moniker. He was infamous for his prank skill and hated by almost everyone, but now, he knew all that isn't true. The once hated boy is now the bringer of hope to Konoha. Hero of the Leaf, Uzumaki Naruto. While that was happening, above on a tree appeared Black and White Zetsu. The two of them was surprised of the result of the battle. Who knew Pain could be defeated, stated White Zetsu. The evidence of surprise could be heard lingering on his voice. Yes, Black Zetsu nodded in a raspy tone. Who knew, but to actually use the Rin Tensei on Konoha was far more surprising. I wonder what did the Kyuubi brat do? Who knows, but it's time to go back and inform this to him, said Black Zetsu. An amusing chuckle escaped from his mouth as they sunk into the tree. I wonder what's his reaction gonna be. Sir, we found her outside of Konoha momentarily later after Uzumaki Naruto confronted Pain, informed a masked shinobi representing the face of an eagle, holding a rather attractive young woman in hands. Shimura Danzo is a frail old man that had an X-shaped scar on his chin. The man has black shaggy hair and black eye with the left bandaged. He wore a white shirt with a black or dark gray robe over the top of it, covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged, whereas his right was holding a cane to help his walk. The man's eye was staring at the unconscious woman with interest. The woman has a voluptuous figure, long black hair with split bangs. Her attire consists of a black kimono, a yellow obio, a set of golden beads and an ornately detailed headband. The kimono features a red interior and it is open at her shoulders, giving view to her large breasts. Tell me more about where you found her, Eagle, ordered Danzo, his underling, which made the masked shinobi nodded. Not much sir, but other than this woman we found this slightly strange looking orb, Eagle explained showing him the item he has found before throwing it as Danzo caught it with ease. It's a strange looking thing if I must say, admitted Eagle as he saw his lord approached him and was checking on the woman. Seals. Mumbled Danzo, though Eagle heard him but instead chose to stay quiet and continue observing. Interesting, it seems her power is locked thanks to this sealing technique, stated Danzo, wondering how she got into this kind of mess. Hummed Danzo, staring at the orb before staring at the unconscious woman, though a couple of seconds later the woman stirred awake which making thing easier. You can go now Eagle, he said dismissing Eagle as the said person nodded and disappear in a puff of smoke. Well, it seems you have awoke, said Danzo, while putting the orb away, hiding it under his sleeve with eyes observing the young woman. Opening her eyes, which showed him the hazel eyes and cat-like pupils she possess. Who are you nya she asked, wary especially of how creepy the guy looked like. The elder of the leaf merely raised his eyebrow at hearing the word Naya, but instead of saying anything he stayed quiet and was carefully choosing his next word. My name is Shimura Danzo, one of Konoha Elder, and I was the one who found you and brought you into my hideout, explained Danzo. Kuroka nya she replied, still unsure of what's going on though one thing for sure is that the man standing in front of her is a human. Where am I? Is this still, perhaps in the underworld? Underworld? Muses Danzo, never heard of a village, let alone a continent named like that. No, like I've told you already you're inside my hideout to be more precise under the village of Konohagakure no Sado. I see, she nodded, so Surzich was indeed correct, the item he had given her could take her anywhere she want, but now after knowing some little fact she is interested of knowing about the village he mentioned, Konoha. Tell me Kuroka, would you like me to set you free? She wondered. The sealing that preventing you to use your power, I can break it, but in one condition and if you accept then I will release the sealing technique on you, but if you don't, well let's just say that you've got figure it out on your own. The transformed Nekashu was deep in thought, debating whether she should let him help her or shall figure it out on her own. What can you do? You're just a crazy looking old man nya she replied in honesty. Oh I'm not a regular old man Kuroka, retorted Danzo annoyed at the fact this girl addresses him like he was a weakling, so what's the answer will be? Fine, help me, she nodded, remembering her true reason of coming here, even though she doesn't want to. Beside, she was curious of this human, he contained a lot of chakra, and she guessed there could be more in here out there. However, a deal is a deal. The condition, what is it? You're going to help me control the Kyuubi brat while I took the seat of the Hokage. It's done, said Danzo breathing heavily as sweat's pouring down his face. His black eyes was staring down at the woman below him who was in the same kind of state as himself or maybe even worse. Nevertheless the shield has been lifted, he could now sense her chakra naturally flowed within her body and it was large, rivaling Uzumaki Naruto himself. It was amazing and yet also a disappointment. The sealing marking is still visible around her. It was binding her and won't budge no matter what he done. Though well disappointed he was also curious at the sealing itself. It was different, more ancient than the sealing marking of those Uzumaki and was indeed much stronger. But surely every seals placed onto something or into something can be broken. Danzo sighed, such think is not for him to think, right now he needs to be at another place, discussing the matter of a new Hokage, and with Tsunade in a coma state, surely he could achieve such thing and took over. Leaving, get dress, he ordered throwing her a set of roots anbu material, before he left in a swirl of leaf, leaving the half-unconscious Kuroka alone. She cold move, no matter how much she tries her body won't move, the sheer pain surrounding her body prevents to do so. Nevertheless she was grateful at the fact that someone managed to free her from the bindings those devils has put onto her. Now she can use her power again, although not fully. Taking a deep breath, the black-haired Nekashu closed her eyes, gathering the natural energy around her. She could feel the natural energy entering her system. It was different, unlike in the underworld. The natural energy of this world is in peace. It feels like it was embracing her, telling her that everything would be okay. It was the most wonderful feeling she has other than spending time with her little sister, Shirin. Shaking her head, dismissing the thought away, Kuroka focused with collecting the natural energy around her, and when it's enough she opened her eyes, as in a matter of seconds she could feel their chakra, people of Konoha. Amazing, she thought as she continued further and further away. Eventually she stopped when she feels something. It was dark, feels with malicious intent and evil, whatever that was made her stopped in her track. However those feeling dispersed, like it never existed and was replaced with something bright like the sun itself. Needless to say, it caught her off guard, though whoever that person is makes her shiver in delight. She wanted to meet him, and when she does, she will fight him to test his power. After all she loves strong opponents. Besides she might already know who this person is, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto, the recent turn hero of Konoha. I can't wait to meet you nya she declared in her thought as she then focused in getting up so she could get a shower before trying that armor given by her new master. Meanwhile elsewhere in Konoha Naruto was strolling around Konoha with his teammate and Kakashi-sensei. They were around in case of someone needing some help, though however he along with the rest met some familiar faces. "Yo Naruto." A voice greeted earning him a confusing glance before he realized who this person is from the way he dressed and the familiar looking towel hanging on his shoulder. "Are Tazuna?" he asked making the old man chuckled as he took a sip of alcohol and drags the blonde away much to his surprise. Sakura and Kakashi who noticed Naruto disappear widened in surprise as they forced to catch up with the blonde, however they lost sight of him the moment the street become crowded. "That idiot." Sakura growled making Kakashi sweat dropped, but instead of calming his student down, he decided to let her the fun as the only thing he'd done was watching Sakura walking towards where they last seen Naruto and disappear into the crowd. The silver hair copy ninja merely followed lazily as he uses his nose to catch Naruto's scent, which he noticed was not too far away from their location. Naruto, who was too surprised at what just happened, widened his eyes when he saw someone familiar other than Tazuna. "Whoa, is that you, Inari?" Naruto mesmerized the smiling boy who was at the moment drinking a bottle of water. The boy Inari, who was known as a crybaby, has grown big, slightly taller than his younger self, and was pretty much looking the same as Tazuna himself, though much better than the old man himself. "Naruto Nai-chan." He all but greeted the blonde, which made him chuckled at how Inari called himself. "It's been a long time, but I can't believe someone managed to destroy your village," he exclaimed. The evidence of surprise was lingering on his tone as Naruto let a loose chuckle before rubbing the young man's head. "Haha, the same thing could be said about me too." Naruto smiled as Inari frowned at how he treated him like a child, though without complaint he let the blonde do so. After all, this is the only time he could this kind of interaction from the blonde other than that one-time moment when they're tasked to guard their grandfather. "So I heard you defeated this pain, Naruto?" Tazuna asked, impressed with the blonde feat. He had heard from almost everyone within the village of how he handled the men alone. Pain, from what he heard, was stronger than everyone in this village. He was even the one who destroyed Konoha and leaving it in this kind of state. However, after knowing the men got defeated much less from one Uzumaki Naruto, he couldn't help but be proud. "It's nothing really." Naruto let another chuckled out, rubbing the back of his head sheepishly as Tazuna smiled at his antics. This is the part where he liked the blonde most than that Uchiha brat. Sure, he was all cool and stuff, but the way he acted around people made him realize that he was different and much darker. "So what happened to Sasuke?" "I never seen him the moment I arrived in this village of yours," asked Tazuna, interest of knowing what happened to him. However, his curiosity was put into a stop as he noticed the long-distance look on Naruto's eyes. Something bad must have happened, he thought before releasing a sigh and rested his shoulder on the pile of wood, which was soon followed by Naruto. "Naruto?" A feminine voice called out as the three of them looked at the new arrival to see that it was angry-looking Haruno Sakura and a surprise Hada Kakashi. "Here you are. Don't run off like that again," she growled, bopping his head, which made the blonde pouted. But Sakura-chan," he wails, which made Sakura shook her head in disappointment. However, she was interrupted by Kakashi, who simply touched her shoulder and pointing his hand at the two people standing above Naruto. "The banshee has grown," Tazuna commented, making her eyebrow furrowed forward at the nickname Tazuna has given her. Kakashi under his mask smirk, whereas Naruto snickering on the background, slightly lowering his tone, hoping she hadn't hear him. "Tazuna?" she asked more out of curiosity, which made him nodded before he pointed his hand at the grinning Inari. "And you're Inari?" "Yo." greeted Inari as Sakura grinned back, though she glared back at Tazuna for giving her that nickname, which surprisingly the old man brushed her killing intent off rather easily. "Anyway, where's that broody boy?" asked Tazuna once again. Curiosity was getting the best of him, which made the temperature dropped. "My guess is right, something must have happened to him," he thought as Kakashi shook his head. "Sasuke is," he was about to say until Naruto interrupted him. "Right now that team is on a mission," started Naruto, making the two startled at hearing his excuse, though Sakura smiled and thanked the blonde. "He will be back sometimes next month." "Ah, I see," nodded Tazuna, slightly confused, especially when moments ago the both of them had the gloomy expressions, but what's with the gloomy faces? "I hope nothing bad to Sasuke." "Well, we heard him getting into some serious problem," answered Naruto quickly as possible, "but don't worry, this is Sasuke we're talking about." "Yup. Sasuke-kun is strong and I'm sure his mission will be a success." Sakura nodded, assuring Tazuna nothing happened to one Uchiha Sasuke. They hated lying, especially to someone they considers close, but sometimes something needed to be done, and this is one of those sacrifices. Hearing her, Tazuna merely rolled his eyes. There is her fangirl mode again. "But seriously, old man, there is nothing you need to worry about," Naruto stated in a serious tone, which made him nodded. Inari, who was leaning on the pile of woods, merely smiled before going off somewhere, followed by Tazuna as the man waved his hand, leaving the three of them alone pondering over everything they had said. Kakashi, who was being Kakashi, merely raised his eyebrow before releasing a sigh. "Don't worry Naruto, we will brought him back to the village," assured Kakashi as Naruto nodded his head and staring up at the sky wondering over Sasuke. "I wonder what you're doing right now, Sasuke," he thought, gritting his teeth as his power spiked for barely but a moment. "I promise Sakura-chan, I will bring you back." Sakura noticed the long look on his face as she placed her hand on his shoulder, telling him that it is alright, that the next time they won't fail. "It's alright Sakura-chan, I'm fine, don't worry about it, nor worrying about Sasuke, I promise you already didn't I?" "Yes, you will bring him back, a promise of a lifetime," she said in a whisper, but the two of them could hear her perfectly fine. Naruto nodded sadly as he walked ahead, leaving behind both Kakashi and the frowning Sakura. The Pincat followed after the blonde, leaving behind a sighing Kakashi. His expression was those of sadness as he stared at the blue skies blankly. "I wonder if this what you felt when you lost your precious student Hiruzen," he thought, finally realizing that he and Sarutobi Hiruzen had failed their students and letting one of them fall into the darkness. "It's time for me to take over Konoha," Danzo said as his eyes stare at the person standing in front of him. She was slightly bowing her head down, showing him the respect before nodding. "Now, remember your mission Kuroka, from this day onwards you will use the code Nekashu," she whispered. It was a part of her race, and surely she doesn't want her to forget such a simple matters like her species, even if the name have some connection with her past, a painful one at that too. She needed it to remember her hometown, to remember her mother, and above all in treasuring every moment she had spent with Shirin. Danzo grunted. He was annoyed at one of his subordinate interrupting his speech, but Kuroka, she was different, the woman is special, and by special he meant she could easily handle Naruto, and if anything happened, he knows she will be the one in preventing it from happening. "Very well then, Nekashu," he begun, making her smirk under her mask before Danzo continue his speech. "Your mission from this day onwards is watching every move Uzumaki Naruto made, protecting him when needed, and above all keeping the Kyuubi under control." He finished with a huff as Danzo rose from his position and walking past the nodding Kuroka. "As your leader, I expected you not to fail," he said before departing from her and leaving her alone in the hideout. Her eyes then caught two figures also disappearing, which she guessed was following her leader. A smirk spread across her lips as she made her way out of the hideout. She could see the blue sky and the sun rising up in the horizon. Its light was too bright for her at the moment, which forces her to close her eyes before opening them, showing the world through the eye holes, her slit like cat eye. "I promise Nya," she grinned as she stood on the closest tree branch. Chakra is sticking on her feet as she took a deep breath, feeling the fresh air entering her nostril. "This place, it's so peaceful," she whispered in delight as she gathers natural energy and used the energy in searching for one Uzumaki Naruto. She was given a mission to watch over someone who is strong. Well, hopefully he is strong, and if not, what he contained could be a challenge. After all, who would miss their chance in either aiding a Kyuubi in battle or actually battling it, like that one moment when she killed her master? However, while such thought excite her, she knew that at the moment she has a lot of handicapped and it is not best to fight the Kyuubi in the state she currently in. Releasing a sigh, Kuroka made her way into the village. One thought surely was in mind. "Here I come Uzumaki Naruto." Thanks for watching.